What's up, guys? Jason Payne. Welcome to the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I am your host, here with my boy, Nate The Tire Guy. Nate Matrin. Nate, what's up, dog?
How we doing, man?
Dude, we're cranking, buddy. We're cranking. We're kicking ass and taking names.
I like it.
So Nate is actually in our coaching program, and we'll get into that. And you've been on our podcast already once before, right?
Yeah, we did one about 4 or 5 months ago, maybe.
Yeah. Before Meniscon.
Yep.
You were a sponsor at Meniscon.
Yep.
Right? So Nate's a good buddy of mine. So he's a client of mine, as well as I'm a client of his, and I do all my wheels and tires through Nate now instead of Discount or these other guys. And we will jump into that about relationship marketing. We have our event coming up on the 26th of May. Those that are listening to this before then, and if not, then you can listen to the replay later. But Nate and I met you at the first Meniscon, yeah?
Yep, you did. You
in July.
The first one, yep, on the first one in July.
And Eric invited you?
No, actually, dude.
Who invited you?
Dude, nobody invited me, actually. Where you talk about get attention, keep attention.
Sure.
I had randomly started following you on Instagram through my business page, right?
Okay.
And so you would post a ton. And I kept seeing you post about this Meniscon thing, and I must have passed by it a handful of times.
Sure.
Until maybe it got within the last 2 weeks of it, right? And then you talked about how you only had like a few VIP tickets left and this and that. And I finally just pulled the trigger and bought a VIP ticket.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then I made it a point as soon as I got there. You probably don't remember, but you were at Starbucks and I beelined it to you and introduced myself to you.
At Starbucks?
Yeah, at the Starbucks at the hotel.
Oh, for real?
One. Yep.
That's so funny.
You had a million things going on.
Oh, dude, it was a blur.
Yeah, it was a blur. But I beelined it to you and introduced myself to you.
What made you join the coaching program in July?
You know, the biggest thing is like I've always wanted to join like a mastermind or like a business coaching. You know, like I've got buddies who like get one-on-one coaching.
Sure.
But I've always been like a student, like where I've always wanted to learn from other people. Like I know there's more than one way to do things, and there's people that think way bigger than me. And like I had moved here from another state and just really didn't have a network of people to reach to. So I'd kind of been looking for that. And so, when they say like, you get or what you think about, you attract. I think, I just kind of naturally attracted me because A, you were local. B, I wanted to be around a network of people. And then you were like nonstop posting about it. So it's like in my face all the time.
Love it. Love it.
So
tell us the transformation since then, because since then a lot of you've I don't say acquired, you've developed a lot of relationships, a ton of relationships since July, and we're in May right now. So not even in 10 months, your world has completely changed, both with your business, relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Roll with that.
Yeah.
First of all, tell everybody what you do, because most people don't know.
I deliver convenience. I own a mobile tire service that runs from Santan to Surprise right now. We want to expand on that, but instead of you sitting in the tire shop, we bring the tire shop to you. Think about anything you can get done at a standard brick and mortar shop. We make that more convenient, more easy to book with us. Instead of like sitting and waiting in a tire shop for 2 or 3 hours, we just bring that experience to you. And we know tire purchases aren't planned, so we just try to make the scheduling process as easy as possible.
Yeah, so my mother-in-law is silly, and somehow she hit the sidewall. She hit a tree, but only hit the sidewall of the tire. She didn't hit the car. 0 scratches on the car, but she somehow managed to hit the sidewall of a tire, and I mean, big old fat gouge in it, and it went flat immediately, like dead in its tracks. And I had to leave, and she had just pulled up to my house to watch my kiddos. My wife had to go run some errands. I had to go to work, and I was like, she's like, oh my gosh, this. She's like, I'll pull the flat down, the spare down, and this and that. And I'm like, no. I'm like, call Nate. I called you. Within 2-3 hours, you were out there, swapped everything, and I was able to go to work. Just no peace of mind. I'd done that. I was taking my dirt bikes or quads or something, taking my flatbed trailer to the dunes or to a racetrack or something, and there were knobbies, right? Because I had my trailer for like 3 years, and so the rubber slowly fades out, especially on factory tires, factory trailer tires. And so I called him. I was like, dude, Nate. I was like, and I didn't have a spare yet. I was like, hey, I have a spare rim, but I need 5 tires, not 4. And sure enough, I go to work. He pulls out to my house, swaps the 4 out or the 5 out, and we're done. Lastly, my big used to be Menace monster truck, now the State 48 truck. The wheels were fine, but the tires, I didn't like the tires, and they're starting to go bald. So literally at Meniscon 2, while I'm hanging out with Ed Milet and Sean Whalen and Brad Lee freaking Nate's in the parking lot swapping out tires. Like, dude, this is, and like I said, I there's 2 or 3 people that I would love to partner up with and go into business with. You're one of them because of the, nobody wants to go freaking, especially if you have kids, going by yourself, sitting at Discount or Big O or Fletcher's or any of those places by yourself. Totally cool. You can hop on, listen to a podcast, be on social media, maybe even bring your laptop and do some work. In my opinion, that's okay. 2 to 3 hours. It's not life or death. Nobody's going to die. You try and take kids, any number of kids. You have kids. You have 2 kids?
1.
You have 1.
Yep.
I have 5. My wife, 5 kids at a tire store. Effing no way. Not happening. And if it does, then she's going to come home ready to freaking kill everybody and get rid of the kids. And so, but instead, they can be literally taking a nap at our house, be watching Peppa Pig and hanging out and doing nothing while you and your team are in the driveway just swapping out. So minivans, sports cars, you guys do side-by-sides?
Yep, from Fords to Ferraris and everything in between.
Fleet, like diesels, or not just diesels, but like full-on tractor trailers?
Yep, we do all the way up to super single semi-tires right now.
Yeah, so semi-trucks. Yep. Love it, cool. Yeah, so that's what Nate does. So going back to my little tangent, going back to that, so from July when you threw down to now, what's happened in your business? Where are you at? Because most of our listeners are small business owners, right? Just like you and I.
Yep.
Doing maybe $200,000-$300,000 a year. Might have a couple employees. Might have 0 employees. They might be the ones doing all the work, working 12 or 18 hours a day, going crazy, and they want to get out of that rat race. And you're slowly getting out of there. It doesn't mean that the crazy and the mayhem and the chaos doesn't stop. It's just different.
Yep.
Right. So what does that look like in the past 10 months?
Well, in the last 10 months, I had 2 employees at the time. Basically, my ex-business partner, and then we had 1 installer. So my ex-business partner was basically handling all the admin work and most of the dispatching, and then I was doing most of the sales and still half the installs. So I'd be out in the field like.
So your business partner got the better part. We're in slacks. Like Jake from State Farm hanging out on the computer.
Yep.
And you were doing sales and throwing rubber.
Yep. And then he would fill in when we were down the other tech. So he would still go out in the field as well. But we tried to keep him as dispatched as much as possible. And then he'd handle like the little one-off, like the little easy peasy, single type jobs.
And all the bookkeeping from paying your suppliers to paying payroll to
that kind
scheduling appointments, all that stuff.
Yep. All the back end stuff that I didn't want to mess with. So I pretty much did all the sales from the field and a good chunk of the installs, which is why, I'd be talking to you, I'd sell it, then I'd be there putting it on,
Yeah, so when he did my mother-in-law's, he was one that actually came out, and I said, hey, this is okay for now. Don't forget, guys, you need to be the ones to swing the hammer, swap out the tires, whatever. You need to go through that phase, but you don't have to be there forever. You don't have to be stuck there forever. Even if it's in sales and you're not swinging the hammer, actually swapping out the tire, even the sales portion, you need to do the sales portion for a time. I feel like you need to be in every category, in every position in your business for a time. But some people get so excited. They just want to be the one diagnose. They don't want to do it, but that's their comfort zone, right? Whether it's swapping the tires or it's putting on the roof, whatever the case may be. Or maybe they just love sales. Yep. And like, cool, sell. And you're the number one sales rep as the owner. Cool. But like, if you want to go out of town, what happens to your sales? It tanks.
Yep.
Right? So then what happened?
So
there's 3 of you.
There was 3 of us.
So you already have capacity issues.
Yep.
Big time.
Honestly, we were still just trying to figure it out. And even at the time, like we weren't booked out or anything. We were pretty solidly booked out when there was just 2 of us. But at that time we were doing okay. But we really weren't on like a huge growth path, but we were, we were dangling around doing like, between $60,000 and $80,000 in sales at the time.
Sure. But if I said, hey, let's do 250, you didn't have the infrastructure or the people or the trucks, the vans to make that happen.
Yeah, we did not. None of the infrastructure. Okay. So, met with you guys, kind of saw that you guys were working with business owners that were kind of in that under 3 million phase. Like, how do you get to the 3 million? And I had a pretty good idea on how to do it, just not pulling the levers and actually getting held accountable to do it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because, one of my weaknesses is that I have a ton of knowledge, and then sometimes I have a hard time pulling the trigger on it. So having the accountability from you guys are like, dude, you know what to do, but you need to make this happen. So like the first thing that you and I talked about was like, you need to get out of the van. right?
Yes,
you
that
need
was
to
the first thing.
Yep, because we were already.
And I know what the second thing was. We're going to go into that in a second.
And so we were petering about.
Get out of the van.
Yes, we were projecting to do probably 600,000-800,000. You're like, dude, you're not going to do a multi-million-dollar business with you selling and installing. Like it's you could do it, but you're going to be dead.
Yeah, we're going to be dead or we're going to be divorced.
Yeah.
Like you're never going to see your wife. You're never going to see your kids. You're probably going to get fat and out of shape because you're not making, your personal development goes down the shitter.
Yep.
I did that too, by the way. I put on, most I ever weighed was 207 pounds. I'm 189 right now.
Fighting weight,
right? But yeah, but like fat fuck fighting weight. Like that's like, it was lethargic and I felt like garbage. And that 207 was the worst time of my life. Mentally, physically, not financially. Financially, I was killing it. I'm cranking it. But like, I will never get that mixed up again, ever.
Yeah, it's tough when to have that balance, especially again for a time. It's okay, but you don't want it to be permanent.
Yes.
And you need to realize when you get to that point. I think a lot of us small business owners, we don't know when it's time to take that next step.
And that's why I coach, like shameless plug, but like that's why having a coach or having a mentor is so important because that person will help you stretch to that next level. Your employees aren't going to do that. They're just not. Right? So whether you have 2 or 5 employees, they're not like, hey, what's the next step? What's the next growth thing? Hey, let's buy that van. Hey, let's do this. Hey, they're not going to do that because or if they do, they're like, oh, are you stroking the check for that van? Are you stroking the check to trick it out? Are you, it's just your employees are there you are there to help your employees reach their goals. But like as a business owner, who is pushing you and stretching you to take that next level of growth for you to become the best version of yourself and reach your true potential?
Yep.
I believe that you need to find somebody that's doing more than you that you can learn from that will hold you and keep you accountable and keep putting that good pressure that we talked about, keeping that good pressure on you to grow. So we get out of the van.
Yep.
When was the last time you got in the van?
Actually last week, one of our customers booked an appointment and he asked if I would come out because
But that's the exception, not the rule.
Yep.
But realistically, when was the last time you were like
realistically in the van? November.
Yeah, and we're in May, so it was 6 months.
Yep.
Okay, that's freaking dope.
Yep, and we've doubled in size since then.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to triple this year. We still have a long ways to go to make that happen.
Sure.
But easily going to double this year.
Love it. And how many employees do you have right now?
6.
You have 6. So you went from basically you and your business partner plus 1 to
6.
No business partner. Let's talk about that. What happened there?
We actually in a mastermind, with you, another plug for Jason here. We kind of were writing out, what I wanted to accomplish and through exploration of like exactly everything that I was handling in the business, we really came to the conclusion that maybe having a business partner in the business that I have, at least that specifically, wasn't the right team to be on at the moment. Like it kind of was keeping the roof on the top of the house when we're trying to build a skyscraper, right?
Yeah.
And so
love it.
And so when we want to build that out and we're trying to expand and scale, there definitely needs to be some care taken and it needs to be well thought out, but you need to make sure you have the right partner. And if you guys don't align on values and where you both see the company going, and if you're thinking about short-term stuff and not long-term, then you really need to figure out if you have the right business partner because you need to align on all fronts and you need to communicate really well. That's I think what a lot of people talk about partnerships. They get all excited because they want to do business with their friends or somebody that they like or somebody that they love being around and having a beer with.
Yep.
But doing business with them is different. It's like being married.
Yes.
And so
it's a second marriage for sure.
And so you need to be on point with your communication and on point with your with communication and expectations, and everything needs to be clear, dotted, signed in your guys' partnership contract, in your operating agreement, and those need to be clearly laid out. And it needs to be black and white, and everybody needs to know what's expected. And that's what one of the hugest lessons that I learned from my very first business partnership is there was nothing in the contract to go back to. There was nothing that was clear in writing what my expectations were and what their expectations were. So if you get into a partnership, I don't think it's like the end of the world to have one, but you really need to be a lot of expectations from both sides, and a lot of thoughtfulness needs to be put into the operating agreement. So if there is an issue, you guys can go back to the contract, to the operating agreement. Because otherwise you got nothing to go off of.
Not if, but when. But also there needs to be an exit too. Like, hey, What if you just get burnt out and you're like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, what's an exit, right?
Yep.
So as you're literally starting this partnership, I think partnerships are great. I really do. I just got burned like crazy from one, but I honestly don't think partnerships are bad. If you outgrow your, like for you, your goal and your vision from your business partner was like way bigger. And so when you surpass that person and what they want to do and how they want to get there, everything's gonna be off balance. And that's when you need to have the conversation of like, hey, here's where I want to go. Do you want to go here? Yes or no? If you do, then, adjust, pivot, and get your shit together and let's go. Or if you don't, then hey, let's exit you out at this point so I can continue to grow. Because if not, it's like ball and chain. You're gonna be dragging them through it. I just went to Kent Clothier's mastermind. I'm in his boardroom mastermind this weekend. Michael Burnoff spoke. If you know Michael Burnoff, his book's called Average Sucks. So good. He has 2 quotes about communication that he said. He says, communication is the most underdeveloped and underutilized asset of all humans.
Yep. I'd agree.
And then
with
his other one was, your future hinges on your ability to effectively communicate. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna keep those posts forever, and I'm gonna post those once a week because that's in everything. That's with your spouse. That's with your business partner. That's with your employees. That's with your kids. That's with your clients. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Communication, those that communicate the best have the best relationships because you don't have unrealistic expectations. There's no lying or deceiving or manipulation or any of that because the communication is so good and so open.
Yep.
Right. And so that's something that, like, I just had my 10-year anniversary with my wife, and like, dude, we struggled.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. But like, there was always some sort of, we've had a great marriage. It's been rocky here and there, but when I go back and look at where was it rocky and why was it rocky? It's because our communication stopped, because egos got in the way, right? Feelings got hurt, and so you stop those lines of communication. Everything gets worse. But when you're pissed and you're mad, what do you want to do? You want to shut down and not unless you freak out on them and blow your shit, which is not communication. Yes. That's just a war, right? But like, that goes with anything. Yep. So that being said, so you get rid of your bit. So you get out of the van.
Yep.
Right. Which is a huge thing for you. You want to do that. You don't ever want to go back there again. A little one-off for a friend here or there, whatever. But from there, then you literally have a business partner that you owe money to, that you have your buyout, right? So you're literally in the middle of that right now, tens of thousands of dollars a month, just cranking it out to all this profit that you'd be making. You're like, shit, here's a check. Shit, here's a check. Shit, here's a check. But that'll go away. You're right in your last one, right? Or close?
I just did.
Yep. Just your last one. Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. So next time you're like, oh man, I got to keep that. That's fantastic. This is what profit looks like instead of just giving it to somebody else. So from here, where are you going, and what steps are you taking to get there?
Where we're going right now is I really want to have at least 20% market share of the Phoenix Valley. Like, I want to have this to be...
That's a big number.
Yeah, a strong foothold. Like, I would just love to have a huge piece of the market share here in the mobile space, right? I think, with where we're going right now, we're staffed up. I have enough vehicles. We have enough employees to do about $5 million in business. Everything is there. Now, the leads and the sales need to funnel in, because we're projecting a little under half of that. We're just, projecting for the year a little over 2. But
that's $200K a month ish.
Yep.
Little under 2.
Yep. Just under. And so,
what's your goal for the year?
Our goal was to do 2.5 million, and after we got through the first quarter, we bumped that up a little bit because we were like, we could easily do 3. We're built. We have the infrastructure for 5. Like, we have the team to do 5.
Okay.
We have the equipment, we have the people, we have the processes in place. Like, we could do that.
Do you guys see what Nate's doing here though? See how aware he is. He's very, very aware of his strengths and his weaknesses. We got the vans, we got the equipment, we got the people to do it. What's your weakness though?
Yeah. Leads. Like, we're trying to get more leads and sales.
Leads, and then obviously sales.
Yep.
So revenue.
Yep. So, we've been tinkering with our marketing a little bit. We've been switching it up. We didn't do any Facebook marketing. We're starting to roll out more Facebook marketing.
I've seen your ads. Looking good.
And so we're just trying to get a baseline right now of what our advertising does, like pulling levers, trying different ads, which ones work, which ones don't work. So we're kind of testing out those different channels right now to see which one works best.
Right.
We do really well with Google pay-per-click, but it's very expensive and competitive. So we're trying some of these other channels right now. We're working with 2 different advertising groups to kind of see, because we know what our KPIs are. We know what our average per ticket is.
How many of you guys know what a KPI is? Key performance indicator. If you don't know what a KPI is, you're probably not a CEO of your business, you're probably a high paid employee or an owner operator. You know what your KPIs are.
Yep. And so we know if we can get the lead in, what a lead's worth. If we get a lead in, it's worth $740 to us if we can close it. Right.
Love it.
And so every time.
How many leads do you need to generate a deal?
How many leads? Right now, we don't really actually need that many. On 5 phone calls, our closing rate's like 50%.
Cool.
So on 5 leads in, we close half of them.
That's fantastic.
There's days where our closing rate's 70. And there's days our closing rate's 10%.
Yeah, let's do averages though.
But our average is about 5 if the calls come in. So now we're trying to generate those calls. And like when they're referrals,
so 5 is 2.5. So if you could get your phone to ring 10 times a day, you'll close 5 deals at $7,000 or $741.
Yes, you're almost 5,000 in sales just right there.
Yeah.
And so and that's about what we're ringing. So we're trying to figure out which lever to pull that will actually drive the phone call number up. So because we've been playing with our Google pay-per-click ads, and it seems like we hit a ceiling on them. So we actually switched from one Google pay-per-click company to another to try to because supposedly they had they have a better track record. They can be a little bit more competitive. They have more insight. They use more like geo-fencing type ads to kind of go along with our PPC. And we just barely started using those the last about month and a half. So we're still kind of in the trial phase of that to see if that can help slingshot us forward. But right now we're in the pullback phase because our other ads were so freaking dialed and so good that they were like, it was like clockwork. We knew how much money to put in and pull out, but we had hit our ceiling with them. And so right now the slingshot's pulling back. Our call volume's actually dropped quite a bit, switching to a new company, even though we're putting more money in.
So Nate came in for his SBS audit, his Sexy Business Status Audit, which is a 60-minute basically breakdown of your business with me going over pros and cons, what strengths and weaknesses, and figuring out, KPIs and what your next 90 days look like. Because what we do is we talk about what your 1 and 3 and 5 year goals are. But especially with your audits, we only talk about the next 90 days. Because what happens is if we talk about the next year and 3 years and 5 years, we just get distracted. Now, you can have a $100 million, $50 million, $20 million goal or $5 million goal in 2 years. Totally cool. But the 90-day business audit is for the next 90 days. Because if you can implement 1 or 2 or 3 things in those 90 days, do that times 4, you have 8 to 12 huge things, holes in your boat that are fixed. You do that like times 3 years, that's 25 to 35 different things that you can implement in your business. And then you're just cranking at that point. So I'm going to do this right now because this is via an episode. I'm going to teach you right now, but I'm also going to record it. So the reason why Nate being on here, something that if I were you, because I knew you're coming in and I see what you're doing and I follow you obviously on purpose, right? And I see what you're doing. I see what your growth is. And I love what you're doing. Now, you might be doing this at a very small level. I know you're doing it at a small level because you're doing it for me. But I want you guys to pay attention, those that are listening right now. Here's how to leverage. We call it the 80-20. 80%, 20% of your clients give you 80% of your revenue, right? So I know you have some big accounts, right? The Googles, the Amazons, those random guys or whatever, right? Big boys with big accounts. With enterprises, those type of guys with big, huge, 3, 4, 5 figures of cars for you to cater to and get an account or a membership type deal, right? A monthly thing rolling with them. Now, here's my free, unsolicited advice, and it's for everyone listening too. I see your invoices from me. I get a text message, hey, Lug Wrench, and then one of my guys had a bad tire, had this or that, and all of a sudden Nate and his team go out there and go do whatever because I get a text message like, hey, pay your invoice. I'm like, damn it, another tire went bad, or we hit a nail, or we just had our photo shoot today with 13 trucks lined up. You'll see it. It's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
13 trucks times 4 tires, right? So you want to cater to the mom and dad, the ones with the minivans and the Lexus in the driveway. But the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your clients give you 80% of your business. Think of a roofing contractor like me. If I have 5 dump trailers times 4, that's 20 tires just for trailers. Now I have a dozen vehicles times 4. That's 50 right there. So 50 and 20. I have 70 tires that are putting on triple and quadruple the volume of miles than a normal homeowner. Normal homeowner, male and female, because I actually Google this because I drive a shit ton. Not anymore, but back in the day when I was doing sales and production and going 100 miles an hour, I was averaging 40 to 50,000 miles a year. 1 year I put on 52,000 miles on my truck, which is a shit ton compared to the average. I think average female is like 15 to 17, and the average male is like 17 to 20. I don't know if you know that stat.
Well,
is that ish?
It's very, very close. Like back
that was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
but
pre-COVID, it was 12,000, like 12,473 is like the average car, because most families have 3 cars. So if you went over all their vehicles, like 12,000. I don't know what the stat was for 2022.
Either way,
but I'm sure it hasn't changed much. It's
you're
changed.
under. Yeah, with COVID, it probably went down more.
Yeah,
right?
like on our vehicles, we're 25,000 a unit right now on our vehicles.
Yeah. So let's say 20,000 or less. I just said I'd do 40 to 50. So I'm double the volume.
Yeah, quadruple dang near.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 20,000, I'm doing 40,000. One, I'm putting on twice. I'm burning through twice as much rubber than the mom with the sedan, right? That takes her kids to school and her, a couple little California trips and all that shit. You know, I'm thinking of my wife. Like I buy my vehicles at like 10 or 20,000 miles on them, and for every 3 vehicles that I go through, she goes through 1. Why? Because she only does 20,000 miles, 30,000 a year. In 3 years, she only gets 100,000. We trade it in. I'll go through 3, or I'll go through 2 vehicles and be over 100,000 before she even gets to year 3.
Yep.
Right. Case in point is, and that's only 1 vehicle. Now, don't forget. So what I would do is I would focus so hard on small businesses, hard, like get Kara and whoever, and just freaking go into restoration, decent size, but restoration companies, roofing companies, electrical, plumbing, Benjamin Franklin, George Brazil. Go to all those dudes that have dozens and dozens of vehicles, and all of those guys, they all go somewhere for their maintenance, right? But there's nothing more powerful than you being able to go pull up on the side of the road or side of the freeway and go swap those tires out, and then but when they need a full set, boom, you get that phone call. Case in point is, if I was just a normal homeowner and I have my truck and I have my wife's car and we have my mother-in-law's car, I was like, you would have gotten my flatbed. Yeah, pay attention to this. You would have gotten my flatbed trailer, which was 5 tires, $1,200, whatever. A repair for the replacement for my mother-in-law for the 1, right? You put on 2 for my wife, and you did my truck, but that's cheating because that's the roofing side.
Yep.
So let's say you don't do that. You only swapped out 4, 1, and 4. You only did 5, 4, and 1. What is that? 10. You only did 10 tires. How many? Just ballpark. How many tires have you done just for State 48 Roofing since I met you in July?
Probably 48-ish. Probably even more.
Yeah, 40.
Because we've done like 3-year trailers. That's 18. We've done 3-year work trucks. That's 12. It's 30. Your trailer. Yeah, we're probably 60, 80 probably.
Yeah, so you're over 50.
Yep.
So I just talked about if I was just a ma and pa, there's only 10% there. I just 5x'd it because you worked with the business, not just with the homeowner.
Yep.
So obviously you want to cater to the homeowner, right? And then not including the exotic phase, people that you can cater to, or the semi-truck guys. But I'm just thinking of, what if you had, what would your business look like if you had 10 State 48 roofings on call that were using you?
Yeah. It would definitely help for sure.
Game changer, right?
Yeah.
So what I want you guys to pay attention to is find out in roofing. I'm just going to tell you who they are, because something that my uncle taught me in a bad way was, he's like, I'm not going to call. I said, hey, well, what about marketing, advertising, and sponsoring these events and football and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. He's like, when it rains, they'll call us. And I'm like, okay. And when I started State 48 Roofing, I said, I'm going to build my business assuming that there's no rain for 12 months. No monsoon season, no windstorms, no microbursts, no nothing. We won't get any weather, just 100 degrees in the summer and 50 degrees in the winter. People come golf and there's no rain, no nothing. So not banking on Mother Nature, right? And I said, okay, so restoration companies have work year-round. Real estate has work year-round. Property managers, both residential and commercial, have work year-round. General contractors have work year-round. Insurance companies have work year-round because they need, appraise the house and be like, hey, you need to put a new roof on in order to even insure this house. So I have pest control companies. I work with like 6 or 7 main people or main industries or companies that give me probably 80% of my work. Now, do I cater to the normal homeowner? Heck yes, absolutely. You need a roof? Cool. 10, 15,000 bucks. Let's go swap it out. But what if I worked with a property manager that has 300 doors? I work with one that has 1,500 doors. Instead of it's kind of like going in real estate. Do you want to own 4 doors? You want to own 400 doors or 40 doors? Well, 40 or 400 all day, right? So it's the same thing. So instead of just going to the mom and pop for the Lexus or the minivan, it's no, apart from them, go find the business owners that have 20, 30, 40, 60 tires, not just 8.
Yep.
Or not just 12. So you literally 5x your exposure with that. And guess what? They have to have it. Like, it's not like, oh, we're gonna drive it till they're some people do, you know this, right? They're like, oh, the wire's showing. Well, wait until it blows out. It's like, I can see the wires. No, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. I'm not gonna, or just patch it. And I'm like, bro, I can see there's the size of a quarter in your tire. We can't repair it. We cannot patch this. That being said, that would be my biggest thing for you. You literally could sit down with you and your team for an hour and come up with 50 of the biggest service-based companies in Arizona, in Phoenix. Yeah, and you'll get 500, by the way. You could pick 50 of them, and you just go gangster at them. You go hard at them, and then you go and say, hey, look, this is what we do. Hey, I'm sure you have a service guy. Some people do it in-house. But guess what? How many people swap out tires? They might do oil changes or some service here and there. How many of them swap out tires and have like a full-on tire equipment, whatever you want to call it, set up in their office? A1 garage doors. Like, for example, what does Tommy Mello do with his trucks? Do you know? I have no idea.
He uses a fleet management company, so very large.
Yeah.
And then basically his size, once you have those hundreds of vehicles like him, a lot of them use like Enterprise Fleet Management, Element Fleet Management, and there's a few like larger corporations. I'm not going to give many free plugs that handle those types of accounts.
Sure.
And we're slowly getting into some of those accounts.
Yeah. So let's say you don't run with the Tommy thing where he has hundreds of vehicles.
Yeah.
You go with me where I have 15. Here's the other part too. So those that are listening, pay attention to this. So the next tier, the next level past that, when you go service somebody and you go put on a new set of tires for one of my sales reps, right? Hey, what's the address to your house? And what is I'll come check out your wife's car for you for free and look at the tires, and we'll mount it, we'll balance them, or we'll do a repair for free or whatever. Just think about it. Every time you talk to somebody, they have another 4 or 8 tires with them.
Yep.
So what you do is you don't just culture the relationship with the business owner, you also do it with every person that is literally driving that van. So if they drive a work van, guess what they have? A personal vehicle. And guess what they have? They probably have a spouse that has what? Another vehicle. You just said there's 3 vehicles per household. So if they're driving a work vehicle, they have at least 2, if not 3 other vehicles, right? So instead of the 13 vehicles, 13 times 3, now there's 39. You have 40 freaking vehicles that are indirectly involved with, and that's just my vehicles.
Yep.
I have 75 employees. You see that? And that's from one company.
Yep.
So you can really go deep with, hey, let's do your wife's stuff. Let's do this and that. Social media, in my opinion, is one of the biggest things, right? So I love that you say, we don't, we're a tire shop. We're a mobile tire shop. No. We sell convenience. Yep. And that's what I would hound like crazy. Are you a business owner that's freaking busy as shit and you need tires, or you got a flat, or you need something's going bad, or you're getting ready to go out of town and your toy hauler tires are, dry rot or whatever you call those? Hey, hit us up. That's why you have to be so consistent with your social media and your ads. You can't just be sporadic, because if I need you and you haven't been in front of my face for a while, I'm going to go to discount. I just am. Why? Because discounts everywhere and their ads are everywhere, and or whoever that tire person is. You have to be front of them at all times, because you don't know when their tire is going to blow or when it's going to go bad.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Did that help?
Absolutely, man.
Tell me, what are your thoughts?
Dude, some of the stuff you're saying is kind of some of the changes that we've made that's really rocketed our growth this year, right? So we have been working on more small businesses. In fact, I just closed another landscaping account just right down the road from here that's got 40 vehicles.
Love it.
Yeah, that we just picked up yesterday. But we've been making it really easy. Like the ones that get on the monthly maintenance, where they're all in the same place. Like landscape companies have been great, because those guys aren't letting their landscape trailers sit outside their employees' houses.
Of course not.
So they all go back to a yard, and they're laid out. They've got 30, 40 trucks with trailers, and they get beat on and they get forgotten about, and the maintenance is poor on them.
Totally.
So we come at them, and we just closed our first corporate account with the same thing.
Nice.
Me with my new COO, we built a pitch deck that basically highlights the company, what we bring to them, the value we bring to them, a quick snippet of how our vehicle maintenance program works, and the value of partnering with us on their tire maintenance. And the biggest thing that we're working on right now is just getting into those meetings, because when I get somebody in front of me, I close them. Like we do the deal,
right?
Or we get them on more like what your company is. Maybe they're not all together all the time, and at least
we're never together.
Yep, we're on your Rolodex that when you guys need something. So there's a lot of companies that we do like that.
Sure.
Where it's maybe not as consistent, but because of our size, we're able to capitalize and help you guys out.
Sure.
When you guys have a down issue, like if you got an emergency, we can handle it.
So that's huge. The other part too, I have to give credit to Grant Cardone and his office, because what they did is I'll buy I've been to 7 out of 8 of his conferences, and love him and everything he's all about. We're on Cardone University, all that fun stuff. They called me, got a hold of me. I bought a ticket, 2 tickets, 2 diamond tickets to GrowthCon. Within 24 hours of me buying that ticket, the dude calls me back and says, "Hey, Jason." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "I need 3 names." I'm like, 3 names for what? He's like, "You're a badass. Badasses know badasses. Meth heads know meth heads." He literally told me this. True story.
That's
he told
funny.
Me. He's like, "Crack addicts know crack addicts," right? He's like, "So business owners know other business owners," right? And he said, "You're a badass. You're kicking ass." He's like, "Give me 3 other badasses that you hang out with or that you talk to that need to come to GrowthCon. Give me 3 names." He didn't say, "Can I have 3 names?" or "Do you know anybody?" It was just, it was assuming the close, right? He did it so well. He's like, "Give me 3 names." And he's like, "Either text them to me while we're on the phone or give me their name and number right now." He's like, "I'm sitting here. I got a pen, paper. Give me 3 names. I'll take care of the rest. Just give me 3 names." I'm like, so I thought for a second. I was like, I'll think about it and get back to you. My dude. He's like, "I'm going to sit on the phone. Take your time. Go through your phone." When I just said that, at least 1, if not 2 people came to your name. What are their names? I was like, Kyle, Tyler, Josh. He's like, "Cool. Give me their phone numbers. Number. He's like, "Cool. I appreciate you. We'll be in touch." Done. And then he just, he's got 3 warm referrals from me. Case in point, there's a landscaper right here, and there's a landscaper right here.
They're everywhere. I was just noticing that. I wish I would have been in your office a long time ago.
And this dude has like 5 or 7 crews, and that dude has like 5 or 7 crews and trucks and trailers and big old, tree trimming, big rig type shit. And they have enclosed trailers over there. They got flatbeds, like you name it. I don't know if you do lawnmower tires, but they do all those too.
We do those too.
That being said, like when you go and you have these awesome accounts like State 48 Roofing or whoever that you work with, just ask, "Hey, give me another." It doesn't have to be the same industry that I'm in. Just be like, "Hey, give me another roofer." Like, "Hey, who else do you know that has a fleet similar to yours?" Don't ask a yes or no question. Just say, "Hey, who else do you know? Who else do you know?" I'll give you that dude's number. I don't have his, but I have his. And just call me like, "Hey, dude." And like I said, once you get in the front at the dinner table, right? Figuratively speaking, once you get to the dinner table, you're a gangster. You close that shit and you're ready to rock and roll. You know that they're going to buy $20,000-$30,000 of tires this year, easily. So are those dudes.
Yep.
Right. And so what happens is a lot of us will want to go do SEO or PPC or Facebook ads or whatever, which is good, and I believe that it also works because you get out more eyeballs on your product. Apart from your organic reach, I still think you should be posting 1 or 2 actual posts to your feed a day and 5 to 10 stories a day, every single day. So Kara, or you, or whoever's doing it, testimonials, before and afters, right? Like show all the badass, like, "Oh, this new set of wheels," and do that 7 days a week. Apart from that, the advertising you're doing right now. Apart from that, I would go and find the 80-20 rule. Find the 20% of the people that are giving you 80% of that business, and go find those contractors and go find those other companies that have several vehicles that don't maintain them, or they just put a shit ton of miles on them, right? Because the minivan mom is only going to go through a set of tires every 2, maybe 3 years instead of every year. Your average tire is what, 40 to 60,000 miles are the warranties?
Yeah, I would say average, and then on work trucks, you get about half that just because you guys are hard on them.
Yeah, well, and if you're not pulling a trailer, if you're pulling a trailer, you're not getting 40. You're just not, right? Because I remember one year, this is several years ago before I met you, I was at Big O had like a buy 2 get 2 free or whatever. But anyway, I got screwed out of the deal. But I did it, and I literally got like 35,000 miles out of it, and it said 60,000 on there. But then they're like, well, if you pull a trailer, the void's a warranty. And I'm like, or you're not going to get, it literally says it right in there, right? You're not going to get that much mileage. I'm like, shit. So, but the guys that are putting on the volume or pulling trailers, like that rubber goes away way faster. So if you are listening and you are not in the convenience of swapping out tires like Nate is, but the principle is still the same, right? Find out that 20% that's giving you 80% of your revenue, and go find more of those people, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. Go find those people, number one. And then number two, the people that are giving you, those big checks every month over and over and over again. Ask them, hey, who else do you know? Who else do you know that could, and if you're doing a good job and taking care of them, they're naturally going to want to help you. I refer your name out like crazy. I just had, like I said, a photo shoot today. I told everybody for my fleet, I said, nobody swaps out one tire here. You do all four, and you can only use Nate. True story. Ask Dory. Dory's on the other side of this wall right now in a meeting. If you go ask her right now and we're done, she will tell you. I said it literally 4 hours ago at this photo shoot. I said, anyone that drives a company vehicle or a wrap vehicle, we do not do one. We do all four. There's several reasons why. We're not going to get into the Scientology of, wear and tear and all that stuff. But I said, tires, do a one-off. I don't care. Or trailer tires, I don't care. Go for it. But I said for a full set of tires, I was like, one, we only use Nate. He's just done a good job. He's really taking care of us. And so it's a shameless plug. But I just want you guys to know that you can, have I ever dinged you for price, asked you for price, or been like,
we're just still working on your punch card for the custom wheels.
I still need a freaking punch card. He put nice wheels on my truck, and I said I want them for free, and he said no. But if you don't ask, the answer is always no. He's like, but I'll give you a punch card. And I'm like, oh, like Jamba Juice? Like, oh, I go buy a shake and you punch my card? He's like, yeah, dude. Then, so apparently I got a lot of punching to do. But any last words, Nate, for a small business owner or someone on here that's listening to this, that's trying to blow up their business?
You just, back to what you said, find somebody that's doing what you want to do and grab onto their coattails and just be open to listen from them. I've just been very fortunate that I've realized, well, I'm not very smart, and the more I can learn and sponge off other people and learn from them, like the better relationships I've gotten, the more ideas I've gotten. Like already today, I've gotten a couple. You got my brain working already over time. It's just you need to realize and have enough. Don't let your ego get the best of you and think you know everything. Like the better you can just start every day at ground zero and just try to get a little bit better than the day before, the better your business is going to be, the better off your employees will be, the better off you'll be from a mindset standpoint. You're always just trying to get a little bit better, and your business will just keep growing exponentially on that. Like, just don't get complacent, don't get comfortable, and just always try to grow.
Well, and I love what you said. So pride and ego are the two biggest things that will prevent you from growing, because you're like, I don't need to be in that mastermind. I don't need to be in that coaching, this and that. I know you do some stuff with Andy Elliott too, right?
Yep.
Cool. And so that's the point I'm trying to get at, guys, is the mastermind I went to, I was by far the least wealthy person in that room, like by commas and zeros. Like these dudes do, like I said, I did 10 million last year. I met another roofing contractor there that lives in Ohio, did 100 million last year in roofing. I'm like, holy balls. He did in a month what I did in a year. But what happens is you never want to be the smartest person in the room. That's why the masterminds come in, because there's masterminds. There's always other people doing something bigger, better, faster, stronger than you in different categories. And so getting in those masterminds that we have every 90 days are huge. You get, doing audit every 90 days for someone that's like, okay, cool. Here's how to pivot. Here's how to move. Here's how to work on your marketing. Here's, whether it's core values or systems or processes, whatever that looks like. Invest in yourself via some sort of a coach, because that coach will or should look at their track record, by the way. This should help keep you accountable, and they'll help you push you to that growth, because your employees are not going to push you to the next level of growth. You might do it naturally just by like throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks and just grinding it out. But like you said, after a while, you just get tired.
Yep.
Right. And so like, okay, cool. Well, if you're tired and you're burnt out, how are you going to go to the next level if you're tired and burnt out?
Yeah, you don't have any left.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right.
It's no fun, but it's been great to have a culture and just around a group of people like we've started to build with Sexy Business Status. Just the type of people that are starting to get attracted to that, and the different business owners, and being able to cross-pollinate ideas. And one thing that I realized, like my business isn't very far off from like a business like an HVAC business, and it's like with their maintenance contracts and their follow-up and how they do service and how they bill, like there's a lot of things that can translate. So being able to talk to the HVAC guys, in the business group has just been great for me. And then hearing Tommy's podcast the other day where he talked about he got a lot of his ideas from the HVAC business. It's like they've got vehicles, they're going to appointments, they're selling maintenance contracts.
And he does garage doors.
Yeah, and he does garage doors, and they're just cross-pollinating. So again, find other business owners they don't even have to be in your same industry, but you can cross-pollinate with them and take their ideas and use them in your industry to help you go forward.
And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is either via coaching and or masterminds.
Yep.
Because day in and day out, are there HVAC guys and is Tommy Miller coming into your office once a week to talk to you and coach you and hang out with you? No. Like most of the time, you got to cut a check because they value their time and they are proven to be able to help you, grow your business. Yeah. So, alrighty, NATO, appreciate you, dog. Lug Wrench Heroes is how they get a hold of you on Instagram.
Yep. Lug Wrench Heroes on Instagram. Nate the Tire Guy on Instagram.
Yeah.
Lug Wrench Heroes everywhere else. And, don't wait. Call Nate.
Don't wait. Call Nate.
602-492-8495.
Bro, I'm waiting for that to be a ad on a radio here quickly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Alrighty, guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you for listening to the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Payne. We'll see you next week.
You gotta search within you. Try to find that inner strength.